Alright, what's going on, guys? So I'm going to make this video as short as possible because this is probably going to take a while, to be completely honest. I'm hoping to aim around the 10-minute mark, so let's get into it. This video is basically centered around solving air-to-air missiles and the lifelong problem that we have had. So first off, I would like to say that air-to-airs aren't as overpowered as people might say they are. It's the annoyance factor that's the biggest part of it. And they're too powerful for what they are, basically. And what I mean by this is how easy it is to use them and the gains that you get out of using them. So before you ask, I am a Sky Knight, and I just want to get that out there right now. So basically the first thing I'm going to go over, I'm going to put an annotation to skip to the solution, but the first thing that I'm going to put is what I noticed while using them. So I have a little list here. Basically, it is easy to ruin even fights. Kill steals are easy as crap. So basically, I ran into multiple fights where two enemy ESFs were going at it, and I cleaned them up so easily, both of them. It's not funny. And jumping someone, you get an extreme advantage to the point where you can't really lose if it's a 1v1. That's a little stupid about that as well, because it's a 30 to 40% health advantage. I forgot what it was. I did this in VR, and I think it was a 3-shot kill. 2 shots is basically fire, and 2 shots is basically death. So, 1v1s were a little iffy, basically, and it was a little, whether it was I win or I don't win. If the ESF chose to rush me, I couldn't use air-to-airs, and I didn't have the fuel tanks to maneuver and get out of the way. So if I found a guy that was rushing me with a rotary or something along those lines, I was a little screwed in that part. I could still beat them because of my higher skill level, but it was just, if it was an even skill level, I would probably lose. In 1v1s where they're just flat out nose gun hover fights, then usually, or all the time, I would win because of the air-to-air missiles, and I don't have to aim at all. I can just point and click. One issue I did find was that if the missile failed to hit the target, like say that target went behind a rock or something, and they immediately came out, and it would hold the lock on. It wouldn't like reset the lock on. So basically, if an air-to-air missile hits its target, it resets the lock on. But if it doesn't hit, and it hits like a tree or something, say the pilot's flying low and it hits a tree, and it still holds the lock on, which is a little stupid, and that really should be fixed. One downside of air-to-airs is that anything more than a 1v1, you're totally screwed, basically. This is especially for Sky Knights, because we rely on our maneuverability. When I put on those air-to-airs, I lose my fuel tanks, I lose a lot of maneuverability. Anything more than a 1v1, it's a little iffy. For a 1v2, you're just dead because you can't maneuver. Even with the air-to-airs, you can't put out enough DPS to win without the maneuverability. Once again, another disadvantage is getting jumped. You're screwed because reduced maneuverability. Funny part of this was I got rammed constantly. Consistently. I'm not going to put them in here, but I did get rammed a couple times. I did jump a couple of my honk bros, and I got rammed. I think it was a purposeful ram. I'm not sure. I'll ask him about that. But yeah, I did get rammed a couple times. So 2 more points before I like to conclude this is, it's a very stale and boring gameplay. It just is. I don't know why people have fun with these. It's really boring to me. And basically the biggest point I would like to point out right here is that it's too much kill potential for what it is. And I said this prior, it's too easy to use, and it gives you too much of an advantage for how easy it is to use. That's the biggest problem with air-to-airs. So the final point, it's basically a conclusion, is that survivability becomes a lot lower with air-to-airs, because you can't maneuver, you can't dodge, you can't etc, etc, etc. But then in turn, the kill potential becomes very, very high. So, this is basically the conclusion, or the solution part of this video. I have 2 ways of solving keeping air-to-airs and removing air-to-airs, and I'll go over both of those. So I was a little confused on what to do here with keeping them. So I just decided to do a flat nerf of 20% EVSF's health. Now, you may think this is a little much. I think it actually should be 15 to maybe even 10%. from what I'm going to do. So damage is about 15 to 20% on ESF's health. That's about a 4 to 5 shot kill, alright? Velocity is 120 meters per second. This is to make it so I can outrun lock-ons with fuel tanks. I don't need to have racer, I can just outrun them with fuel tanks. So the reload speed is going to be 7 seconds. That's a long reload speed, but you're going to ask why. The default ammo pool also will be increased to 7. It's really, the ammo pool, I ran out of ammo a lot with air-to-airs. And here's the big part, mag size 2. So to I don't know what I'm trying to do here, but to try to offset some of the nerfs basically, is I'm putting in 2 shots. This is why I'm vouching for 10 to 15% of the ESF's health. 2 shots will be about maybe 35%, back to the normal what it is right now basically. And the time between shots will be 2 seconds. So what I'm getting out here is that the lock-on time also may be a lot shorter than what it is right now as well. That could be a possibility. So basically what this will do is it'll give off an initial 15% damage to an ESF, alright? But what this does is the 2-second delay between the 2 shots, it'll give the other ESF time to react and figure out where you are and what to do. So that's the first part. It's just a simple flat out nerf, and we can easily change things around here to the nerf. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. That's the only way to fix air-to-airs is just nerf them or remove them. So that's what I'm vouching for right now. That's the basic gist of that part. Now for the last part, I think about this in multiple different ways. You're removing air-to-airs. Air-to-airs are basically, in short, the crutch, the skill gap between newer pilots and more veteran pilots. So this is the skill gap. It helps them get closer to the veteran pilots and kind of helps them compete with one another. And removing air-to-airs will remove that crutch, and it'll make it vastly more harder for newer pilots to get into the air game, even though I suggest not using lock-ons at all for getting into the air game, except ask for help. Like, ask any Sky Knight, they'll probably help you. So, to make a new crutch, I vouched on buffing coyotes. Now, this may seem like it's the complete opposite of what we're trying to do here, fix lock-ons. Coyotes are an interesting thing. Lock-ons are more annoying. That's the biggest part. Coyotes I can deal with. I'm meh. I don't care. If I die with them, okay, whatever. At least I can somewhat dodge them, because I can predict when they're going to fire and just afterburn out of the way, etc. So coyotes will become the new crutch, and we're going to buff coyotes a tiny bit. I don't know how we're going to buff them. I was thinking about an increased range of the proxy lock-on for the projectiles. I thought that would be a little too much, so just leave some suggestions of how to buff coyotes and make them the new crutch. And just for fun, I thought, why not add something in to replace air-to-airs? Make it something that'll do like maybe 50%, maybe 30 to 40% damage to an ESF, but be skill-based. Skill-based. So my idea was Nanite Systems Anti-Material Ballistic System. This is kind of like the anti-material rifle for the engineer right now. And we call it AMS for short, and the abbreviation will be NS-AMS, AMBS. So I'm going to go over the stats of this right now. So basically it's going to be what it says. It's going to be a ballistic projectile that gets shot at enemy ESFs. It does very low damage to tanks and armor, and very low damage to infantry as well, maybe a 4-shot kill to infantry, and a lot of along those lines. So basically it's going to deal about 30 to 45% damage of an ESF. It's going to be difficult to fire accurately, but a very high reward when getting a hit. So, like as I said, 40% damage of an ESF. That's a lot of health. And the biggest part of this is low velocity. It's going to be very hard to aim. Generally hit stuff from a distance. It's going to be a 1-round magazine and a 3-second reload. I'm probably going to increase that more, but yeah. So these are just a couple ideas of how I was thinking about fixing the air-to-airs. They're not outright OP as people say they are. They're in a bad spot. Removing them is probably not the best idea. Maybe adding in the AMs would be pretty. I don't care about. You don't have to remove the air-to-airs to add in the AMs. I just think the AMs would be a cool idea and fun to use, in my opinion. I'd love to. I probably use them more than fuel tanks. Just because the idea is it's cool. But yeah, this is my basic gist of the idea of fixing air-to-airs. A simple layout, a simple plan. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace out.